We had been married for only a year. My husband was very loving and took great care of me. I lived alone and was free from the responsibilities of in-laws because Rashid's parents had passed away. Once, after washing clothes, I went to the roof to spread them out. While returning, I fell from the stairs. My leg bone broke because of the sudden twist. My entire weight fell on one foot. I became unable to walk. Since I lived alone and there was no one to look after me, I called my friend, Fari, to stay with me because my leg was in a cast. My parents' home was in another city, so after a few days, Free's brothers dropped her off at my house. My friend was not yet married, and her family was looking for a proposal for her. She had completed her education and was sensible and mature, so there weren't many restrictions on her movement. In her own home, she had two sisters-in-law to handle the chores. Therefore, as soon as she arrived, she took over my household. After finishing the work, she would sit by me and talk. She was around 24 years old, very beautiful, and equally innocent. I had started walking a little with the help of a stick, but I still couldn't do any work. One night I woke up and found my husband wasn't in the room. I got up and went out, and I heard the sound of Free's laughter coming from the kitchen. I was surprised at what she was doing in the kitchen at that hour. When I entered, I was startled to see Rashid with her. They were laughing at something. Seeing me, Free came to me and said, "Rashid Pai really scared me today. I was making tea for myself when he came from behind and covered my eyes. I almost died of fright." Rashid also started laughing and said to Free, "You get scared like a child." Then, turning to me, he said, "I came to drink water. Seeing Free, I felt like playing a prank. Since she arrived, you've started laughing too. The house feels lively, and I like it." I didn't pay much attention because, after all, she had come to stay at my house for my sake. I smiled and changed the subject, but now something strange began to happen to me. Every night, Free would give me a glass of milk after drinking which I would fall into a very deep sleep. Often she and Rashid would keep talking. For a few days, for some reason, Free's behavior started seeming suspicious. If she was working alone in the kitchen and I entered suddenly, she would get startled as if she didn't know who had come. Her face would turn to pale upon seeing me. When I asked why she was scared, she'd say it was because it was a new place. Once I went to her room and she was talking to someone on the phone. I stood outside and listened. She was saying, "If my friend finds out, what will she think of me that I took over her house as soon as I arrived?" Who was she talking to and what was being hidden from me? I started thinking when she said on the phone, "How long will we keep meeting secretly?" After that, she began answering everything with just a yes. I returned to my room. Who was she talking about? She wasn't engaged yet, nor did she like any boy. So who was it? I was now suspicious. That night, I didn't drink the milk. I pretended to be very tired and acted as if I would sleep early. At 1 a.m., Rashid left the room. After a while, I also went out with the help of my stick. Voices were coming from Free's room. When I opened her door, the ground slipped from beneath my feet. I involuntarily put my hand over my mouth. Free was standing there in a state of distress without her dupatta, scarf. Rashid was standing near her. When Rashid looked back and saw me, he came to me and said, "You were so keen on calling your friend here. Now that she is here, at least take care of her. You were probably sleeping like a log." I came out of the room, but then I heard Free screaming and rushed back in. A bat was on her dupatta, which is why she had to take it off and throw it away. I knew that bats lived under our water tank, and they often came into our courtyard. Free was still standing there, terrified. I rushed to her. She was extremely scared of the bat. I hugged her, and her whole body was trembling. She was crying hysterically against me. I consoled her, but she was sobbing like a small child. Her heart was beating fast. I took her to my room, and she remained frightened throughout the night. She had been scared of such things since childhood. I didn't know she was still so terrified. For 2 days I kept her with me, but she looked sick. She said, "Please send me back." I said, "Free, it's just a matter of a few days. Once I start handling the house, you can go." She became sad and said, "Hire a maid, but send me back. I don't feel right here." For some reason, her fair complexion was turning sallow, and she looked weaker than before. I said, "Fine." That night, I told Rashid that Free wanted to go back and that we should arrange for a maid. He got annoyed and said, "Why does she want to go?" I replied, "She doesn't like it here. She looks sick, and I've started walking a bit." But he said, "You're just making up stories. If you fall again, I know how difficult it will be. I'll take Free to the doctor. You should have told me earlier she was sick. Tell her to stay for a few more days, then she can go. My only concern is your foot. Otherwise, she's your friend. She can stay wherever she wants." The next day, I sent Free to the doctor with Rashid. They returned after 4 hours. Free was smiling and had shopping bags in her hands. Rashid said to me, "You don't care about your friend at all." The doctor said to keep her happy, so I took her shopping. See how happy she is. Smiling, Free kissed my cheek and said, "I am very happy. Rashid Bhai took me for so much shopping and even bought a beautiful watch for you." She showed me everything. It wasn't that I felt bad seeing this. He had bought things for my friend, but in our 1 year of marriage, he had never taken me shopping like this. He always said his budget was tight and there was no need for so much. For some reason, I didn't like any of this. At night, I asked Rashid, what was the need to buy so much for Free? He replied, "I consider your friend as my own." Rashid's sincerity was one thing, but what could I do about my restless heart that was filled with doubts? In the morning, I told Free I would call her brother and send her back, but she refused right in front of Rashid, saying, "No, I won't go until you are completely fine." I said, "But you weren't happy here, so what's the point?" I wanted her to go back to the village, but Rashid yelled at me, "When she says she doesn't want to go, why are you arguing?" I went quiet, but my heart had no peace. If Rashid left the room for even a minute, I would follow him. I started giving him water myself. I would wake up repeatedly at night to check on Free in her room. It was an invisible confusion that I couldn't see but could certainly feel. This morning was an office holiday. After breakfast, Rashid said to Free, "Free, get ready. The groceries are finished. Come with me. It will be easier for me to shop." Free didn't refuse even once and immediately nodded. Now I couldn't find a moment of peace. When they returned, Free put the things in the lounge and went to her room. This started happening often. Even during office hours, Rashid would go somewhere with Free on some pretext. My patience finally broke, and I started crying. On one hand, my home was breaking. On the other, my friend was responsible for its ruin. I decided I wouldn't stay silent. First, I spoke to Free. Where do you go on the pretext of buying household things? She got flustered and shook her head, saying, Nowhere. I angrily said, Tell me the truth. What is going on between you and Rashid? She started crying. Before she could say anything, Rashid entered the room furiously. He grabbed my arm, took me to our room, and said, Who are you to investigate me? I was also tired of enduring it. I said, Where do you go with Free? He became enraged and said, I'll go wherever I want. If you spy on me again, I won't spare you. He spoke with eyes full of rage. I said, Fine, do what you want, but tomorrow I'm sending Free back. As soon as I said this, Free started knocking on the door, hearing my screams. Rashid hit me for the first time, but even after being hit, I wanted to know the truth. I grabbed Rashid by his collar. He said, Fine, then listen. I am going to marry Free. Let's see how you send her away. Saying this, he left the room and took my mobile so I couldn't contact anyone. He locked the door. I didn't even have the strength to knock. Outside were the two people who had ruined my life. My face was bruised in several places and my lip was bleeding. Rashid had clearly told me that he and Free loved each other and would marry the next day. I cried bitterly over my fate. My friend had destroyed my home and was going to build her own with my husband. I cried all night. In the morning, the door opened and Free entered. I turned my face away in hatred. She sat near me. I looked at her with loathing and said, Are you my friend or a witch? Didn't you think of me even once before ruining my home? Is this how a friend is? Hearing this, she burst into tears. She said, It is not my fault. I have been suffering unbearable agony for months just for your sake, so your home wouldn't break. I looked at her in confusion. She said, Since I arrived, I felt uneasy with Rashid Bai's gaze. Then I felt like someone was peeking into my room at night. Once in the kitchen, he scared me and turned it into a joke. I thought it was just a prank. But then one day he came to the kitchen and said, You don't care about your friend. She is getting weak. This is a strength powder. Put it in her milk every day and don't tell her. Otherwise, she won't drink it. I believed him and hid this from you. Then one night I felt my door being locked, the inside. When I woke up, Rashid Pai was standing there. I immediately covered myself with a dupatta, but he started coming close. He said, Why are you so afraid? I'm not a stranger. I stood up and asked why he was in my room. He said, Why does anyone come to a beautiful girl's room at this hour? I felt terrified. I ran for the door, but he grabbed my arm and threw me on the bed. I wanted to scream for your help, but you didn't come, and he had placed his hand over my mouth. I was devastated. He said he was bored with his wife and that I should marry him. I said I couldn't do that. He left but threatened me that if I told anyone, he would poison you and blame me, saying I was the one giving you milk every night. I was trapped because I was the one giving you the milk, but I didn't know what was being mixed in it. I came here for your sake, but I was ruined. I felt like ending my life or killing the man who respected no relationship or human sanctity. I tried to tell you many times, but his threatening glares shook me. Hearing this, I realized my friend was innocent. It was all my husband's ill intentions. Despite having a young, beautiful wife, he had ruined my friend's life. I didn't want her family to find out because they would have killed my husband. I had to hide this from everyone. So I told my friend, Tell my husband you are ready to marry him. My friend followed my plan. I told her that when he came to her room, she should agree, and then I would enter and kick her out of the house. I thought everything would go according to our plan. But when he entered the room, my friend attacked him with a knife. Hearing my husband's screams, I rushed in to find my friend's hands and face covered in blood, and my husband was severely injured. My friend was still attacking him. I managed to stop her with great difficulty. I started crying and told her, "This wasn't our plan. Why did you take such a big step?" She replied, "I have no regrets. This man deserved this." I immediately made my friend flee the house because I didn't want the police to arrest her. I then called my brother, who was a police inspector. He called 1122 and took my husband to the hospital. My brother worked day and night to save him because I knew if he died, my friend would go to jail. I urged my brother to ensure my friend remained safe. My brother admitted my husband to Aga Khan Hospital in Karachi, where he survived after expensive treatment, but I didn't want to live with a husband who had wounded my soul. My only purpose in saving him was to keep my friend out of trouble since she had only come to help me. My brother helped me get a divorce, Kula, and after some time I got married elsewhere. Today it has been 2 years. I have a son. After my marriage, my friend came to visit and my brother proposed to her. She didn't refuse because she was getting an educated husband and she knew how my brother had saved her from legal trouble. Otherwise, she would have faced jail. After that incident, I learned a lesson. Never bring any young girl into your home. You never know when or how a husband's intentions might change.